Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Red River Roundup Friday edition. It's October 24th, and we're in week 8. Had some games take place last night all over the state and got some big games coming up here tonight on Friday night. We'll get you caught up on scores of the biggest games that took place around the state last night. And then I'm going to get out of here because I want y'all to help us preview two big games taking place. Ash goes up to Ruston tonight for another District 2-5A showdown, and also a big game in the Sinlaw area. Jena goes to Bunkie, two teams that are really at the top of their brackets here in the past few years. Jena's a top seed these days, so they'll take their 6-1 record on the road to face 7-0 Bunkie. So we're going to talk to two coaches from some of those programs. CJ Gatlin, he's a wide receivers coach at Ruston High School. Got a couple of trips to the Superdome under his belt. And then also Austin Watley, who is the head coach of the junior high program in there and also hosts the walkthrough in Jena. Nice coaches show and promotional show for all things Jena athletics. So we'll talk to those guys in a minute, let them preview those big games, and they'll get you set up as good as anyone. But quickly around the state last night, Airline 41, Natchitoches Central 21. Vikings have had an up and down season, but they get a nice win in district there. Sterlington 54, Bastrop 6. Bastrop still trying to find their footing there in that district, and the defending champion Panthers are looking just as strong as they did last season. Oak Grove with a tight victory over Faraday. That game was at Oak Grove, but I believe it was a home game for Faraday. So Oak Grove in the visiting whites. And I think that was a Hail Mary that got batted down at the end. So Faraday goes in and gives a nice challenge to Oak Grove, but the Tigers get a win over the Trojans in that district. Looking south of Alexandria a little bit, Karen Crow 66, Sulphur 34. Karen Crow's offense continues to do what they've been doing. Notre Dame 28, Jennings 12. That's two teams that will likely have a good chance to win some playoff games here in a couple weeks. Big game there. Erath 45, St. Martinville nothing. Erath was a top seed last year in D3 non-select. Looks like they might be on their way to be in the driver's seat of that district again because Kaplan went to Abbeville last night, and Abbeville, who had a 3-point loss at Franklinton last week, they get a win 12-7. Perhaps a little bit of a surprise, but Abbeville Wildcats 12, Kaplan Pirates 7. So a big win there. We'll recap that one a little bit more tomorrow with Shannon. Elsewhere in South Louisiana, Episcopal, they get another win. They're on a little bit of a streak here, 40-14 over Northeast. Madison Prep shuts out Collegiate Baton Rouge 50-0. Bruley, another team that's getting some momentum going, 39-0 over McKinley. Southern Lab goes to Kentwood, and they win 12-8, another low-scoring game there, and Kentwood needs to find their way here quickly as we go down the home stretch of the regular season. Amite 35, Albany nothing. That game was at Albany. Albany with the pink jerseys there at home, but Amite had a really impressive game. They get a shutout win. Patterson 42, Berwick 6. Patterson was another top seed in D3 non-select last year, so looks like they're back to their winning ways again. Some other games that took place around the state, of course, and we'll have a full slate of games tonight, obviously, so stay tuned. If there's any on 446 to catch your eye, tune in. They'll have them live for you. Headlined by, of course, Ash at Ruston, but some other games as well. Tioga will be in action. Menard, Grant, St. Mary's, all of them will be available for you to watch on 446 Sports, as well as the big game between Turlings Catholic and East Ascension. That game is at Turlings, undefeated Rebels going for 8-0. So a lot of good games tonight, and two of the biggest ones are going to be Ash at Ruston and Jena at Bunkie. So we will take a minute and let you hear from coaches from two of those programs that will be part of those big matchups here tonight. Take a look. Ruston Bearcats wide receivers coach CJ Gatlin. Coach Gatlin, thanks for spending a few minutes with us. And I want to start, honestly, with your coaching career here recently. I mean, you started young. This is a profession that you've grown up around through your life, and really the past few seasons has just been interesting where your careers has taken you because you've been in the Superdome. Like, the past few years, that's kind of like a annual tradition that it's become for you personally. So I'd love to know just what that experience has been like for you. And obviously it's a team effort. There's a pile of coaches on these programs that you've been with, but there's some part of your impact that's making a difference. It's getting these teams all the way to December. So just tell us about your coaching career so far, and again, like how you've managed to be around such successful programs and how you've had an impact there.
The past 2 years have been really special. A lot of people don't ever get to experience getting to, number one, play in New Orleans, and number two, winning one. I'm very, very thankful for Joe Spatafora for giving me the chance to go to Union 2 years ago and getting to win one. They'd gone 4 years in a row. And then my last year, my first year there, the last year they went, we got to win it, and it was, going for two to win the game. It's pretty incredible. My dad's coached a really long time, and he's always dreamed about going. And
getting to be there 2 years in a row. I mean, and then that the run with Ruston last year.
Yeah, after the game, winning that one, I mean, it was probably the coolest thing. Getting to talk to my dad.
Yeah.
And then getting to go back this year, or last year, we got skull drug, but still getting to walk out on to the turf in New Orleans. The carpet is what they call it in Farmerville. Just getting to walk out on it and get to experience that, getting to watch the kids you spent so much time with, all the hard work they've done to get to that point. I mean, it's pretty incredible. It's fun to be around. It's different than a lot of places I've ever been. Ruston High is. We work a lot to get to where it is. Jared Ball has done an excellent job turning the program from. I mean, I think he took over in 2016. I graduated in 13. Yeah, so he came in 16 as the head coach. He came in 15 as the offensive coordinator.
But let me ask you that, Coach. Like you said, that your experience with Ruston is different. Obviously, Ruston's been hugely successful for the past few years. What do you notice as being different in a good way, in ways that work?
Well, like in every program that makes it there has their own style of stuff they do. At Union, it was, those kids, it was like an expectation of like, hey, we're going to make it, and there's no other option. At Ruston, we work 7 days a week. I mean, it's a grind. There's 150 plus kids in the program, which is crazy to me because there was not that many kids when I was there.
Yeah.
Just the environment, when you walk the halls of the school, I mean, it's always been a huge tradition place. And I knew that when I moved here in 2012 as a student. But just being on the other side of it as a coach and being in other programs, you see the administration's help and input, the stuff they allow us to do, and the stuff they allowed Coach Ball to do to get everything he's accomplished in the past. I mean, they've been 3 years in a row now. And the goal is to go 4. I mean, it's the goal every year to make it. And there's a lot of stuff that has to happen. Sometimes it's a lot of luck that has to happen, and it's good draws and, health of your players. But, I mean, Ruston is very special. The coaches all are held to a high standard. The kids are all held to a high standard. Doesn't matter if you're a freshman or a senior. They're all held to high standards. I mean, it's a fun place to be right now.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point, like it's between your past 2 stops, Union and Ruston. I mean, repeat trips to New Orleans, going from last year's Bearcat squad to this sitting at 6-1 at this point. Bringing in Ash this Friday. What's been anything noticeable that's been different about how y'all have tried to approach the regular season and this like just daunting district schedule that you have to put up with? What are y'all doing kind of in between to say, look, let's do this better than we did last year and see if we can go even further than we did last year?
I wasn't there the first year they lost.
Yeah.
And they said, I wasn't there the year they won it either.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that was kind of the transition where the kids made the transition of like, hey, we're doing this. We're not making it not, it was kind of the same way this year. The kids were told, all those guys are gone. They're graduating. You're not going to be as good. I mean, that's all they heard all off season was they're not going to be as good as the guys before them. They were told they weren't going to do much. They told that the Texas teams were going to sweep them. I mean, they were told so much stuff. And people from our community were even saying it. But our kids have kind of took it with a chip on their shoulder, where they're like, Josh Brantley did an incredible job here. He's amazing. And they're like, we're going to continue the standard, and the standard's the standard. The quarterback, Sam Hartwell, has done a great job of becoming the leader of the offense, and everybody on the offense respects him. Ahmad Hudson, I'll say, has grown up tremendously from being a sophomore to a junior of his leadership role. Where last year he didn't really say much, and now he's actually being vocal and speaking, and people listen because, when you have the stature that he has, people are going to listen. I just think the kids have put it on themselves as a chip on their shoulder to try to prove the people, even their own community, wrong.
Yeah, and again, coming back so many consecutive years, it's crazy. You do hear that doubt start to creep in, but so far got through that Texas trip with just one loss and sitting at 6-1. Going back to Hartwell, just real quick, what have you liked about what he's done this year, taking over for Brantley? I mean, you just mentioned it. That's a big job to come in and take over for somebody that everyone is missing going on the way out the door. But he's had success on the stat sheet and in the win column, obviously, this year. But anything particular that you just liked about him coming in year one and just not worrying about all that other stuff and people wondering, just getting under center and getting after it?
Sam has that presence of the different people have a different presence in a room. Like, you have the leader, you have the people that everybody's going to follow, and Sam just has that presence. He wasn't able to show it last year, because obviously he's behind Josh. But this year with Josh gone, he's in baseball, so we didn't see him all spring. But he comes back, and it was like he was never gone. The kids respond to him. Under the tent after drives, he's, hey, we got this. Let's do it. Like, we're all in it with each other. He just has the presence of a leader, and as a quarterback, that's what you need.
And the other guy that you mentioned has been important in a leadership role has been Ahmad Hudson. And again, he's been talked about over and over again, everywhere, really all over the country almost. And there's not a big secret why. He's everything that he gets hyped up to be. But just real quick on Ahmad before we peek at this Ash game, what's it been like just to be in a position group, be in a room with a guy that, you've got a lot of work to do with him while he's there, while he's on campus, but to kind of work with somebody that you almost are sure that you're going to get to watch play after he graduates.
When I first got here, he was a receiver only. And then, the offensive coordinator pulled me in one day and was like, I'm going to go coach tight ends. I said, okay. He said, I'm taking Ahmad to tight end too. And I was like, you son of a gun. But, I get him every once in a while. We get to work a few things because he does line up at receiver for us. Mm-hmm. But just getting to watch him do things that most, 16-year-olds can't do. His hands are, I'm a big person. His hands are bigger than mine. He's became a worker. When they're young and they have that much talent, they don't really have to work. But he's working, and he's been working really hard this past year and this year. Again, like I told you, he was younger, he wasn't really leading, but now he's a leader. He speaks. He's encouraging. There's a lot. He's grown up a lot in 1 year. And yes, it is fun to watch him play on Fridays because he does things that, we throw the ball and it's like, how did he just do that? Yeah. It's you're 6'8". You can do a lot of things. My son is 7 and he loves Ahmad, and Ahmad's the type of kid that will stop and take pictures. And last year, my son invited every football player to his birthday party, and like 30 of them showed up, and Ahmad was the first one there. When people see him on the field, they forget they are kids. And Ahmad was on a little tricycle holding my son for his 6th birthday, just holding my son, riding around a gym on a tricycle. And he was 15 years old at the time. I mean, that kind of stuff, people forget they are just little kids. They're kids. But yes, in 2 years, it will be fun to see Ahmad somewhere. I don't know where he'll go, but it has been very fun to be around him last year and this year. And then the next year is going to probably be even more fun.
Yeah.
But it's been very cool to have a generational talent come through.
Yeah, that's awesome. And to have those experiences with your family and really just kind of it just makes sense about what these football programs are about and why we like to be a part of them. So looking ahead to Friday night, Trojans coming to town. Obviously, you know everything there is to know about this this Bearcat program, but you've got familiarity with the Trojan football program as well. So far dealt with Ouachita. We're able to get out of there against Neville with a win. So, district-wise, you are kind of sitting on top of the mountain right now, just kind of waiting for challengers, and you're going to get one this Friday. So you said it's a 7-day-a-week preparation, and there's probably way more that goes in that to get ready for Ash. But what are you looking forward to Friday night? What do you think is the things that'll be most important, and what kind of game you think will unfold after they kick it off in Hoss Garrett?
I mean, both programs hold a very close place to me. I mean, I grew up on the sidelines at Ash. My dad was offensive coordinator when I was a little kid at Ash. We moved to Texas, and then my dad became the head coach at Ash when I was in 7th grade. So I grew up I'm actually from my uncles and aunts. I'm one of the only Gatlins to not graduate from Ash. All my aunts and uncles did, and I have a very large family, and majority of my cousins did graduate from Ash. I got to attend 2.5 years at Ash and moved after my junior season. We went to the quarterfinals. So, I mean, just getting to play them is cool. I mean, especially at the school that I actually graduated from. Monday night we went down there for JV, and my mom and dad came and saw me on the sideline. I looked at my dad, and I said, "Dad, this is weird being on this side," because we were on the visitor side. I said, "I'm used to being over there with you." And he was like, "Yeah, it is weird." And, Coach Bachman's done a phenomenal job at Ash. Josh Mercer was actually my teammate. He's the defensive coordinator there. He's a year older than me, but we were on the same team, played together. They've done an amazing job in Alexandria at Alexandria Senior High School. But the game, I mean, it's 2 physical teams, 2 really good teams. In my opinion, 2 of the top programs in the state. Get to play each other on Friday night, and whoever makes the least amount of mistakes and whoever comes out wanting it more is going to be who comes out with a win.
So you talk about limiting those mistakes. If that's indeed like the most important thing, because I tend to agree with you. Both teams, good teams, full of good players with good coaches that are all going to do things and have a bunch of success on both sides. But what sort of mistakes are y'all wanting to avoid? On your home field?
I mean, last week we, I think we had 4 fumbles offensively. I can't speak for the defense because I mean, honestly, we're so broke up. I don't really get to be around them much. Yeah. But offensively, we had 4 fumbles last week. If we limit some of those and we limit the mistakes, defensively busted coverages, missed assignments, please go. And anytime you lose the turnover battle, majority of the time you're going to lose the game.
Yeah.
I think we turned 3 of the 4 over. We just got lucky enough where we came out and we were playing hard and at the right time, and got lucky Friday night. With all the scenarios that happened.
Yeah.
But if we got to limit our turnovers with fumbling, control the ball, control the line of scrimmage. That's how football's won. Is control the line of scrimmage, control the turnover ratio, and then win special teams. They do a very good job on special teams at Ash. You got to don't control the ball, you don't win the game.
Mm-hmm. And you're over a really talented room in that wide receiver group at Ruston. So you say controlling the line of scrimmages, and again, it's a classic 2-5A game. So that will be, just as important as anything. But what are you wanting to see from your guys, like as far as just anything extra or anything that you haven't seen through 7 weeks that you'd love to see that wide receiver group like really pull up to an A+ level on Friday?
So, in our room, I mean, we have a sign that says "Do your job," and that's the first thing I put up when I got there. It doesn't matter if it's a run play, a pass play, or if you're on a special team. You're told, do your job, and I don't care what your job is, but you're going to do it. It all reflects into life, and we talk about that, how you're going to have a job one day for somebody, and they might tell you to do something, and you don't want to do it, but, I mean, it's your job.
Yep.
And if you don't do your job, you're going to get fired. And it's the same thing in our room. I mean, we have, 5 or 6 guys that can go, and if you slip up, I mean, like you're about to be moved down the depth chart. We had a kid, he had a bad, day, and then another kid stepped up and had a really great 2 days, and he didn't get as much playing time as the other kid for that week because that's just how our room is. And this week, the kid that had the bad week last week is having a really great week. So, as long as you do your job, no matter what the circumstance is, in our room, I mean, you're gonna play. I mean, it might not be as much as the guy in front of you because he's a little more talented, but you do your job, you come in and you grind. And we take another thing we do in our room is we say every rep's a state championship rep because that's the goal every year. So like if you give a loaf, I mean, the loaf is a lazy play. A loaf, I mean, we do up downs for loafs in our room. So I mean, we everything's effort because it's the only thing you can control.
Well, you've got quite the test. Again, at home on Friday with that Ash defense, they've got a lot of hype, they got a lot of talent, but your wide receiver group and that whole offense will have we'll have a great challenge to defend home turf and really stay on top of District 2-5A moving into the home stretch of this season. And again, you're used to it, but hopefully y'all are only halfway done. So, Coach Gatlin, man, we appreciate you so much for taking some time after practice to talk about your career and preview this game. Everyone around the state's going to be keeping an eye on Ash at Ruston this Friday. So you'll be there, and I'm sure that it'll be a great game, and y'all prepared to get that done. So thank you so much, Coach Gatlin. Hopefully we can talk to you soon.
Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate you for allowing me to come speak, especially for Central Louisiana, because that is home.
Absolutely. Yep, same here. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, great conversation with CJ Gatlin, assistant coach, Ruston High School. It was interesting. I'm sitting there wanting to talk to him about X's and O's and previewing the game. And, he talks about his dad and talks about his son and talks about family and the experiences he's had with players. So, man, it's so interesting to see another side of it. Yeah, it's exciting to talk about the matchups and who's going to win and who's going to get to the dome and all that. But, man, it's family. It's family. And it's so cool to see a coach of a top program that thinks about that just as much as he thinks about the game. So appreciate his time with us. And now we'll get to hear from Austin Watley from the Jena Giants. He's the head coach of their junior high program and also hosts the walkthrough on Wednesdays in Jena. So we've got a great opportunity to preview the game with Austin Watley, and we'll do that now. We're real excited to have joining us from the walkthrough in Jena, Louisiana, Austin Watley. He's an assistant coach with the Jena Giants football program, and he also hosts the Wednesday walkthrough that plays there locally on FM in Jena. And also we've got the link up here on the screen where you can check them out, that you can replay their shows as well. So, Austin, really glad that I was able to get some time with you this week. This game between Bunkie and Jena is humongous. No matter select, non-select, anywhere you are in the state, people are anticipating this game, and we'll get into that here in a sec. But really, this program, the Giants, have been a top seed in D3 non-select for several years now, semifinal team, and a team that's, had undefeated regular seasons and has just been on a roll these past few years. So bring me up to speed on the Giants. Bring all of us up to speed on what y'all are doing in Jena.
Yeah, the last 2 years we've made the semifinals. First time in school history 2 years ago to make the semifinals. And last year was really kind of a surprise to make it back to that point. But 2 years in a row to be one game away from the Dome is something that we never thought would happen in Jena. And it's happened 2 years in a row. And it's just made us hungrier trying to get to that point. But we got off to a great start this year, played at Mangum. Mangum has had a great year so far, but put up a lot of points in that game. And offense has done well this year, putting up a lot of points. We were averaging 52 points per game, but we beat Mangum. Had a tough game against Tioga. Took a tough loss there, but Tioga's a really good team, and I expect them to kind of go far and have a good year on their end. But yeah, ever since last year, we're Bunkie. They got us pretty good in Jena. We've had this week circled for a long time.
Yeah, looking at this game in particular, and I do want to go back to two games that you just brought up. Last year's game that was in Jena that Bunkie was able to win, and then also earlier this year versus Tioga. In your opinion, how does last year's game versus a different Bunkie team, especially at the skill spots and obviously at a different stadium, but also how does that game against Tioga, going up against Pontier, going up against Curvin Johnson on the outside, how do you think that prepares, or how do you think that informs how Coach Roark was preparing for Bunkie Jena in 2025?
The game last year with Bunkie, now some people, if you talk to people in Jena, they're going to say we had a lot of guys sick that week. A flu hit us pretty hard last year. Bunkie was rolling. I think no matter what, Bunkie probably beats us anyway. In district play, they only gave up like 1 or 2 touchdowns in all their district games. They were just a great team last year, and it showed when they made it to the semifinals. But what was tough, their defensive front was really good, shut down our run game. And if you shut down our run game, it's hard for us to do anything offensively. When in the Tioga game, we got off to a pretty good start, had a 14-10 lead at halftime. And in the second half, Tioga got a few stops, and we had a couple mistakes early on in the second half to start, kind of messed up our rhythm. And then defensively, we couldn't get a stop on Tioga. Curvin Johnson, I got to give it to him. He's great on offense, but that night he played both ways. Really kind of limited us in the passing game. Did really well on our top receivers, Adrian Cooper. But that was really kind of a factor in the game. Him covering our receiver, kind of shutting him down. And then our run game, they didn't stop it like Bunkie did, but they slowed it down just enough where our strength this year is our offense. If you can slow us down enough, then you're probably going to have a pretty good chance in the game.
Yeah, I was able to watch the Giants earlier this year in the Bayou Jam. I mean, really a great matchup against Washington. One thing that you notice, and this is similar to the way that was last year, replacing Zarek Jones, who's at Grambling State now and was seemingly, at least from the outside, like the feature back in that offense. But since then, with Hatcher and Wilson, and even to a large extent McPherson, you've had like running back by committee and production from the backfield by committee. Is that something that you're just willing to take on based on who's dressing out, or is that something that you think that Coach Roark and tries to feature those guys just to maybe give Bunkie and whoever else you face different looks?
Ideally, we're running the split back. We would love to have 2 capable running backs every year. And when we had Zarek Jones, he just was incredible. I mean, just a special player. He kind of did it by himself. And there's been some years where we've had that. We've had one really good running back, but we didn't have that second running back to kind of balance it out. With Cedric and Daniel, we have that. And when they were coming up, we were excited about them because they're 2 bigger running backs, and we don't normally have big running backs. Even Zarek, as good as he was kind of smaller for a running back. But Cedric and Daniel being bigger, and they both have speed, and they complement each other so well that if you run to one side or the other, if they're not getting the ball, they're willing to go block. And it's just weird to me how it works out. I don't know if it's the hot hand or the way some teams play defense, but one game Cedric may have a big game, and then the next game Daniel has a big game. And at the end of the year, when you look at the season stats, it always just kind of evens out. Those two are pretty close to each other as far as rushing yardage.
Looking at this defense, and you mentioned earlier that the offense for Jena, really has to get going. If looking at the game I did watch of Bunkie this year, they were shotgun formation, 4 wide on a lot of snaps with Zion Lee just right there in the backfield next to Brady, right? That's a stylistic clash on offense. And again, it's not anything that's too crazy, but what's this giant defense do to prepare for that look? And it's not like they're airing it out 35 times a game, but they are spreading the field. And I guess that creates space for Lee, creates space for Patterson to try to move around a little bit. But going against an offense that you don't see every day in practice, what is that defense doing, you think, this week to have their best game on defense so far?
Well, I'm not going to lie about it. If you've seen our scores and you look at the stats, defensively, we're kind of rebuilding this year. We lost a lot of seniors off of defense last year, got a lot of new starters, and we've been in some games where we've given up a lot of points. I feel like the biggest test is going to be tackling Zion Lee. Even if Zion Lee's going against a good defense, it's hard to tackle him because he's so big, and that's why he's going to Navy. But that tackling him, and then you can't load everybody in the box and try to stop him because, like you said, you've got Patterson on the outside, you've got Milligan at the outside at receiver, who's a good possession receiver. So Bunkie's pretty balanced. You got to be careful with what you're doing, because if you load up to stop one, somebody else is going to be there to burn you.
All right, I usually avoid this question, but I think you have an answer for it. Just from what you've said so far. Overall, what are the keys to this game for Jena, as you see it?
I think it's going to be up front. Bunkie's defense last year completely shut us down. If they shut Jena down Friday night, I would say it's going to be a Bunkie blowout. If Jena can score like they've been scoring this year, and they don't have to score 50 points, I think if they can just get to that 28 or 30 points, I think they'll have a great shot in the game. But our defense is going to have to get some stops, and I really think that's going to be the test. Can our defense get some stops, stop Zion Lee, and then is Bunkie, can they stop our running backs? So whoever can get the stops, I think, is going to end up being the winner.
Yeah, look, it's perfect that, like you say, that it's like this will be the first cool weather game of the year, and this is where defenses usually turn on at this point in the season. That'll be cool to see. And 2 years ago, Jena went to Bunkie, made this road trip, and came back with a win. So I know y'all are fired up. I was able to catch y'all's show this evening. So I know it's a big week, but just to talk a little bit more about the Jena program overall, I know you're involved with the junior high team. With Coach Roark being, I think it's 11 seasons, maybe more than that he's been in that spot. He's got that program going, all the way down, and it's built the way that everybody wants it, not just him, but everybody on the staff. So tell me about your experience with those middle school guys, getting them ready to be guys that are playing ball in December once they get into high school.
I always tell people I have the greatest job that you can have, because, and actually I don't remember, I think it's maybe Coach Roark's maybe 14th year. And
oh gosh, okay, yeah.
He was head coach 1 year, and I was assistant coach at the junior high. And then the next year, I took over at the junior high. So I'm the head coach at the junior high, and we do everything just like the high school does. But what I've said is, I get to coach these guys in junior high, and then I do the radio. I broadcast the games. I get to be their fan when they're in high school. So it's a great job because, I mean, I don't have the pressure that Coach Roark has,
That's awesome.
having to win games, but you get to know the guys in junior high, and then you love getting to see what they can do in high school. So no pressure to it, and we just have a lot of fun with it.
And it's got to be fun, in particular to like teach them a brand of football that they don't necessarily see on Sundays, which is probably, how they get introduced to football. And you really get to show them something. The light comes on that they've learned this offense that nobody else wants to prepare for. Before we let you go, and again, man, I enjoyed talking to you so much. This is great. Tell us about the walkthrough. I mean, I love this idea. I think this is y'all's second year to have this out. And, I know that it does a lot for Jena fans to stay locked in, to be connected, to know everything that's going on, to have that connection to Coach Roark, the players, and have that what the show does for everybody there locally. But the cool thing about it, especially from my perspective, is you get to introduce this program to the state. I catch it online. I'm not in range to catch it on the radio. So, now like anybody who wants to can click on, your site, the walkthrough, and either listen to the show or find out more about the program. And, no matter who you are, like you get to learn more about this, not only football, but football has obviously been the most visible part of this athletic program here recently. So tell us about that show. And again, how that feels to just like finally be able to show off everything that y'all have worked on for so many years. And now everybody gets to see what a cool program it is.
I've been doing the radio I've been the play-by-play guy for Jena for all those years. Coach Roark's been the coach for like 15 years now. And for years, we would kind of have a coach's show on and off, but it would be more of we would go interview Coach Roark and they'd play it on the radio. And when I was in high school, Mr. Larry Evans, who he was the play-by-play guy for years in Jena, he would interview Coach Mac Fowler, who was our coach, and every Friday morning they'd play the interview, and we always enjoyed listening to what Coach Matt was going to say. Well, my co-host Brant King, we've always wanted to have just a real show, kind of like we do now. And I'll be honest, what inspired us was seeing people on Facebook doing shows like this, and we said, well, what's stopping us from doing that, And so we kind of just decided to. It was actually 2 years ago when we went undefeated in the regular season, and when we made the playoffs, and we had the first round, we had a bye week. We said, why don't we do a show that night instead of, we didn't have a game, we were going to do the show. We interviewed some players, interviewed Coach Roark, and just kind of gave score updates during the night. But that was the first one where we said, hey, we may have something here. And then the next year we decided, okay, if we're going to do this, we got to be fully committed to it. So we did it during football season, and then just kept it going throughout the year, covering the other sports. And it's really just fun for us because, like we said, we see them in junior high. We form that relationship then, but then we get to brag on them when they're in high school and introduce them to the state, like you said.
Promote them,
promote them. And it's just fun doing it now when we're in when they're getting high school and we get to know them. So we have a lot of fun with it. We enjoy it, and we really like doing it.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, again, you don't need me to tell you this, but Jena's it's the perfect example of high school football in Louisiana. I mean, it is Friday Night Lights come to life in LaSalle Parish, and got a great team this year as usual, and y'all got a great show. The walkthrough Wednesdays. Again, if you're not in Jena, just find them online. They're on X, they're on Facebook, they're on YouTube. Check them out there, and they'll keep you in tune on everything Giants athletics related. And again, other programs around the state, take note that this is how you can promote your programs, and it's a great thing that y'all are doing. So, Coach, thank you so much for your time. And look, it'll be a great game this week, and hopefully we can talk soon as we get towards the playoffs.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. And thank you for having me on. I really appreciate you.
Yep. Go Giants. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate Austin Watley from the walkthrough previewing Jena at Bunkie tonight. It's going to be a good one. So is Ash at Ruston, and got good games all over the state. So whoever you're supporting, hope you enjoy being out there under Friday Night Lights tonight. And don't forget, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., we'll recap everything around the state that we can get to, and you can watch it live here on 446 Sports. So thanks for being with us here on the Friday edition. Thanks to CJ Gatlin and Austin Watley, coaches for Ruston and Jena, respectively, helping us preview some big games tonight. Catch any game you want to on 446 Sports, and join us tomorrow morning. This is Marshall Leffler, and you've been watching the Red River Roundup Friday edition on 446 Sports.